is the 28th of November and the temperature is quite mild. The sun is shining and I think I just checked the temperature on the weather forecast and it says the temperature today is 13 to 14 degrees centigrade. Now last week on the very same day we had temperatures of 4 degrees maximum in the daytime, and in the night time it went down to perhaps -4 or -5 degrees centigrade, and the ground was frozen. So today the ground is not frozen, and I'm going to complete the video that I started last week where I was talking about the general principles of field growing or open ground growing to thicken trunks. May I remind you that these trees that I talked about in the video the previous week, they are only in the ground for 5 years from planting, and they were no thicker than a pencil when we planted it. We will show you some of the raw materials that we actually have in pots that we sell as young starter trees, but these have been growing in the ground for only 5 years, and look at the trunk, they are about that thick. So growing in the ground is fast. Now I'm going to get Joe here to dig some of these trees out because I will show you the next stage of creating a bonsai which has been grown in the field or in the ground. Many of you may think that lifting the trees out of the ground should only be done in the spring. That is not so. In the horticultural world, there are still nurseries that grow plants in the open ground. It's called field growing or open ground trees. And any time from the end of October or early November right till the start of spring, which is end of February, early March, that is the lifting season. You go to these big nurseries there with tractors and great big digging implements, anything from trees of this size to trees which are 5, 10, 15 meters even, and root balls which weigh about 4 or 5 tons. They dig them out of the ground. So this is the lifting season. So we are doing it on a small scale. So I'm going to ask my colleague here, Joe, to dig these trees out because the ground is not frozen. So we'll dig a trench. Let me just see what we do. Now if that is the trunk, if you dig around say about a foot all the way around, some people prefer to dig a trench to get a compact root ball. But in our case, I'm not worried if I even get the things out bare root. So you can do that. This is like going collecting trees. It's exactly the same thing you do. You dig a little channel like that, and then where you come across thick roots, we can sever it. I can feel a thick root there. If you lean that back for me, I will see if I can get it. Can you pull that back on that side? You've got to feel where the root is. Sometimes the roots go deep in the ground. Is that it? Is there something there?
Definitely getting something. I can feel the reserve coming back.
Yeah, it feels like a taproot, and all the more reason to cut the taproot off. You don't need the taproot. Okay, we will go right round, and we don't want to be too near the trunk. You've got to leave at least about 8 or 9 inches around the trunk. So if you do on the other side as well, Joe, while I pull the tree back, we need to get enough root out. That's the secret of doing it. Not too close to the trunk. Dig a little channel around like a... We're showing these simple things because I do appreciate and understand that many of you have not done it before. So although it may seem simple to us, even a thing like digging around a tree needs to be shown. Yeah, it could have gone straight into the ground.
It's gone down, hasn't it?
It just go right around like a channel. but we are being a bit careful. Normally when we dig, we bring a mechanical digger. And with a mechanical digger, these come out in like 2 seconds. But if you dig by hand, it'll take about 5-10 minutes. But not everyone can get a mechanical digger in their garden. When we talk about collecting trees, I can imagine that some of you who go collecting, this is exactly the sort of thing you do. The trick is to get as much root as possible. It's no good just cutting it at the trunk and not get any root. So that's all part of the tricks of digging out the tree. Can you lean it back there? Let me just have a look here. We have a feeling that this tree is going straight into the ground with the taproot. It's like extracting a tooth, isn't it?
Yeah. Whoa, you got it.
Right, we got it out finally. So such a large tree and only that much root. But I think that is sufficient. That is sufficient. Now the aftercare and the planting is what matters. So, as you can see, there's some root. There's no taproot. There's a taproot. I won't cut anything off. Maybe that one. Okay, let's try the other one, because every tree will be different. Every tree will be different. Let me just... So, if I may remind you, we need to not get too close to the trunk. Now some people like to prepare the tree during the growing season. That means they undercut. Undercut meaning they go around the tree and go around cutting like a circle, so that you make sure that the roots which are getting thick are cut off, and then it will produce smaller root. Now I can see a root over here. Look at that. If you come close, Rebecca, you can see that white root. I will show you it. This root here is holding the tree. Now this is a good sign. That means this is a radial root, surface root. So where you see surface roots, it's better to cut them off. But unfortunately, when you grow in the open ground, the trees tend to grow straight into the ground. And that makes the lifting more difficult, because the possibility of having a deep taproot is very, very high. See, this one is producing a lot of side shoots, side roots, I mean. Okay, if you can cut on that side, please, for me. Yeah. Right over here. So every tree is different. Ah, now that's a nice root ball. In fact, in some nurseries, they wrap the root ball in hessian. Can you go around that side, Rebecca? Look at the root ball. Look at that lovely root ball there. Yeah, that's lovely. That's really lovely. And then on this side, if you lean it back, you feel where the roots are. I think there's one thick root there. I think that with the lopper, if we cut off, we can probably extract it. Okay, one more. Use the lopper, use the lopper. Use the lopper.
Got to try and look.
No, it's here.
Where?
Underneath. over here. Yeah. Or with secateurs or loppers, you can get it. There you go. So now this one, although it's growing in the same place, the quantity of root is slightly different. And again, there is no, look at that little pot in which the tree was growing is still in there. That is the size of pot it grew in. And these are the roots that have developed in all that time. So we dug 2 trees up, virtually the same size, but the quantity of root is quite different. So we're going to show you how we prepare this afterwards. While we're here, we will dig a beech out as well. Okay. Today we have a dear follower, YouTube follower from France. And if you can, Monsieur, say something.
My name is Yannick, and I'm new in bonsai, but I've listened and viewed some videos
on YouTube.
From Herons
Yes.
on YouTube from Herons Bonsai, and was very pleased when I come over in England to have a visit here, and I'm very impressed by all the trees here. It's like, wow, incredible.
Oh, I always admire people from other countries like France and Germany. They speak such good English, and we can't speak French as good as you can speak English.
But you do good at bonsai.
Okay.
You're very good.
All
It's
right.
like you're doing a great job.
So you enjoy watching the
I'm very
videos,
pleased.
okay?
Yeah, it's nice,
So,
very nice.
All right. So he's seeing what we are doing. Yannick is seeing what we are doing.
I advise you to come over
Okay.
to visit Herons Bonsai
Okay.
when you are in England.
Yeah, you see how the trees are being grown. Huh? We're
Yeah,
not
it's
just buying.
incredible, yeah.
Production is here. Production is here. Okay. Thank you, Yannick.
Very nice trees.
So these are the beech trees. Again, they've been grown here for the last 5 years, and we're going to take some of them out, 2 of them out. Okay, this one and that one. So we dig like a circle.
We're not going to have any luck. This blade flexes.
So when you dig, the trick is not to go right up against the trunk. You need to get like a root ball. So you're trying to dig like a conical shape. In some countries I've seen them grow them on mounds of soil with a channel in between. Can I have it from this side? You stay that side. And we will go around here. Again, you see it's about at least 9 inches or a foot round to get like a conical root ball that we dig. So we dig at an angle to get the conical root ball. Of course, when we dig with a digger, the digger just goes in, but with a digger we get large quantity of soil. So that's slightly different. And the ground should not be frozen. So all these are considerations you need to bear in mind when you go digging or collecting. As you know, I don't collect from the wild. It's okay to collect where you get permission from the private landowner, but sadly a lot of people collect without permission. So that's like stealing trees, which I don't like. When you hold it, I will bring the lopper. I can feel a root there. Keep filming. So where I hit a root, I usually try and sever the root. Can I feel the spade again? Ha! Over here. Okay, can you start digging around that side? I can feel the root here while I dig this side. Ah, I cut that root off. Dig at a slight slant. Dig a little more, you'll hit the root. Sometimes when the tree comes out, you fall backwards.
You be careful, Peter.
something there. Maybe from here. You usually can feel it. It's almost out. Oh, a little more. Oh, hoi! There you are. Look at that root ball. Now I don't need all that root because I'm going to plant it in better compost so we can shake some of that soil off. I know some people ball up the root ball with Hessian, but I think we can take some of the soil off. Don't need all that soil because I'm now going to use a better compost. You can use mud in the flower pot, but it doesn't drain so well when you grow them in pots. In the ground they drain well, but when you put them in a pot you use mud soil, it doesn't drain that well. A lot of people ask, why do you use bonsai compost rather than mud? You don't have to use compost, but it's the drainage problem we're talking about. Now that is a beautiful example of lovely fibrous root. Look at that. Such beautiful root. So different trees have different ways of growing, you know. So this is better than the hornbeam. Okay, let's try the other one, that one. Okay, so as you can see, all these are the same age, but some are more than twice the thickness of the others. Okay, just that one, and then we'll take it into the back greenhouse and show how we deal with these roots. Okay. By the way, some of our customers come here and dig their own trees and then they make the bonsai like the way I'm doing. But you need special permission from me to do that. You can't just come and dig yourself. I've talked about this subject before. Why do beech trees and some hornbeams have their leaves in the winter and not drop off? Some people cut the leaves off, but in nature the leaves remain on the twigs. And I was told by a biologist that in the evolutionary process, while these trees were evolving millions of years ago, the trees developed this habit of retaining the leaves on to prevent the animals like deer and other animals that eat leaves from taking the new buds and shoots off. So with the dead leaves, the animals are not so prone to chew the new buds. That is what I heard. I don't know how true that is, but it's a very plausible theory. Very plausible theory. Oh, hui! Look at that. You may think that is a bit crude, but it's okay. Okay, so we've got 4 trees out and we're going to show you what we're going to do with these. If we come close, you will again see this lovely beech, and although I said it's been growing for 5 years in the ground, we have done training while it's growing in the ground. We did cut it here and we progressively cut it there, and this is how the taper is made. You see all these side branches have come from cutting the top off. So this top was cut off only 2 weeks ago. So we can keep growing it that high, but if I didn't want to grow it that high, I can even take the leader from somewhere there. So let's look at the roots, because this is the stage where we need to make the best use of the root that is available. So if you home in close and look at it, and I will expose the root a little more. The advantage of growing in the open ground as opposed to growing in a flower pot is that the roots don't tend to form the girdling root that you will find when they're grown in round flower pots. If you grow in a round flower pot, you get the phenomenon of what we call the girdling root, when you go round and round the pot, and it can sometimes strangle the tree. Whereas when they're grown in the open ground, that is not so prone to happen. Now, supposing I want to develop this tree for the future, I'm looking at the front and the back of the tree even at this stage. So the wider side is probably either the front or the back. That can help to thicken the trunk because that will fuse together. I'm not bothered about that. So I could even use this as the front, or possibly this as the front, like so. So that will grow in that fashion. Now, there isn't a great deal of root, more so than some of the hornbeams, and there is no taproot, luckily. I try not to take all the soil off. Some people take virtually all the soil off. I prefer to just leave a little bit. And now I've got to judge what sort of pot I use. Now, because I've got so many pots, I want to not rush the tree, but make the fullest use of the root situation. So, bearing in mind that this tree is not ready for a bonsai yet, so why do I need to rush it to spoil the tree? Again, I don't want to make the tree go round and round. So if I wanted to, it could fit in this pot, like so. And if I wanted, or if a customer wanted to buy this tree, he could even use a fairly generous mica pot or a plastic training pot. The point I'm trying to make is not to squash the roots or constrict the roots more than you need to. So that would be a reasonable pot to put this tree in. See, like that. And that would be nice. I'm not going to show you how I'm going to fill the soil, but that's what I do. So I haven't cut any root off at all on that tree. So while it's growing, I can do a little more. I can prune some more twigs, but I could probably wait till the spring. When the spring comes, I can then do further bouts of training, make it more of a conical shape. Remember, the more you prune the tips off, the more ramification you get. Look at the ramification is already quite good. If I wanted a new leader, then I'll grow a new leader there. If there are too many branches like that one, that could cause inverse taper, so I take some of that off. Don't have too many branches growing from one point. That is the source of inverse taper. Remember that these branches grow very, very rapidly, very easily. Now this one again, if you look closely, this is getting quite thick. I should take all of it off, or certainly reduce the vigor of that. Because if I didn't, you will get inverse taper at this point. So inverse taper is something you need to watch at this point in the development of the tree. And then possibly this could become the leader in future. I'm not going to show you putting soil in. I can use any soil. I can use ordinary garden compost or proper bonsai soil. So that is that one done. Let us look at this one. Again, the same age, but what a difference in the thickness of the trunk. I suppose, like human beings, like children, you know, some children grow bigger than others, is exactly the same with these trees. I know that the genes come into it a bit, but by and large, you do get variations in the rate of growth. So anything which is growing in the wrong direction, let's determine the front of this tree. Now that would make a very nice front. The base is very nice there. Just make sure that there are no ugly crossing roots. That root could look ugly. No, I can take this one off. Can you see? I can take this one off, and that would make a nice radial root. Now this coming this way, I don't want it to come this way. I need to make it go that way. So that one has been taken off. So this is the time when you can make sure that the roots are growing in the right direction. Now this is coming back on itself. I don't want that. So I take this one off. Now this tree has got such a lot of root, I'm not bothered about cutting those odd bits of root. And that is popping up, I will take that off. Now that I've done that, I can now think of putting it in a similar type of pot to that training pot. Mind you, the people who buy these trees from us, the cost of the pot is of course a consideration. If I use a good pot or even a more sophisticated training pot, it'll cost you more. Now, in this situation, look at that. The root is going back on itself. I could easily cut it off, but I don't want to stress the tree too much. So I've got to be a bit careful. There's enough root there. I may just cut a little bit there. See, because that's not nice. It's coming back, almost going round. So let's get that off. I was hesitant about cutting it, but I can see that because there are so many other roots to sustain the tree, cutting that little bit off won't do it much harm. So there you go. So this is where we've created the new taper. You can see where the new taper is going. We cut that thick one off during the year. And because there are too many branches there, I've got to watch inverse taper. I will probably take this one off. So as I say, inverse taper is something you need to be conscious about. So that will be the front of the tree for the future. Look at it, almost all the branches are in the correct place. Now, as for a growing pot, I can use either a flower pot like this, should I want to. Put it in there, put it quite high, and fill it with soil. Again, I don't need to show you that bit of the process. It's really the treatment of the root. Now let's look at some of these other trees, which is the hornbeam. Now this hornbeam, look at the character of this tree. Absolutely stunning. Now if you look at it, what strikes you immediately is the line and the movement of the tree. Look at it, like a dancing girl, going that way, going this way, and it is very, very nice. I won't cut this off because I know that with a bit of wire I can make it go in that direction. That one can go in that direction. Now I've seen something which you probably may have seen. This is where when you get a choice or an option, you are faced with a dilemma. What do you keep and what do you cut? Do you see what I see if you come close here? Now because of the movement of the trunk, this is a possible leader. Can you see? If I cut everything off there, the tree will be nice and short and that will be the leader. If I wanted a tall tree, I will keep it that high. So the choice is up to the person who buys this tree. I will in fact keep it so that the person who buys it has the ultimate choice. But you can see the option I have. I can even cut it there, make it a short tree like so, or let it go to the full height and get a taller tree. And look at that, that's easily over an inch thick. And look at the radial roots there. Beautiful radial roots, absolutely beautiful. And all I do is maybe slim that down there. And what is lovely about this tree is that there's hardly any taproot. There's no taproot going down. There are a few roots like this. I don't want this to go straight down. I don't want that going straight down. I just want to encourage it to go sideways. So all these deep pointing roots are going to be sliced off there. So that is the root treatment I'm giving that tree. So we can put it in again a flower pot of that size or a plastic training pot, whatever we wish to do. And that will be the start of this tree's bonsai life. So there you go, that's another fine example. Now let's look at one more. Some of these deep ones I will cut off. I'm trying to get it as shallow as possible so that for the future getting it into a bonsai pot won't be so difficult. So just radial surface roots. So that's that one done. Now let's look at that last and fourth one. This was the one where we didn't manage to get such a lot of root off. Look at that lovely tree there. So much ramification, so much ramification. Absolutely divine almost. You see the training we've been doing in the field, this lovely conical shape. It's virtually a complete bonsai. Look at it. Absolutely complete. You'd give your right arm for a tree like that. And there is sufficient root there. Now in this case, this root ball is not as good as this root ball. You can see this root ball is so good. Whereas this one is a bit sparse. But the tree won't die. But I've got to be careful. I need to produce more roots. So I'm not going to be tempted to put it in a bonsai pot. I'm going to plant it in a deep flower pot. Maybe something like this. And use quite nice soil. Maybe just the ordinary garden compost mixed with a bit of mud and grit. And hope that it'll produce more root before I start training the tree for bonsai. So I hope this example of these 4 trees has given you some idea as to how we lift these trees, lift these field-grown trees for making into bonsai. And Rebecca here has just reminded me, I was telling you about the evolutionary process where we propounded the theory of having the leaves stay on the trees so that the animals don't nibble the new shoots. Rebecca was just telling me that in nature, sometimes they retain the leaves as a bit of insulation. So in the hard frost, these leaves act as insulation for the young shoots, and it protects it and gives the roots a chance to grow better come the spring. So there you go. I hope you picked up some useful tips from this video, and may you have a lot of enjoyment trying all this yourself. I know I'm giving a lot of secrets away. A lot of people don't give these field-growing secrets, but what is there? This is ordinary gardening principles put into the bonsai context. So there you are. Enjoy.